Carol's class we're going to do today. So it may be in separate parts, but we're going to start at the beginning like we do on Monday class, and then we are going to continue all the way through until we get to the end with some relaxation. So we're going to start lying on our back. We're going to have feet flat on the floor, knees bent, and we're going to think about our breathing. So if you wish, you can place the hands onto the rib cage like so. And then we're going to think about inhaling through the nose, breathing into the sides and the back of the rib cage. So getting the rib cage open up into the palms, and then exhale out through the mouth. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling out through the mouth. I'm going to stay with the focus on that breathing pattern throughout the rest of the class. As we continue to inhale through the nose, on the exhalation as we breathe out through the mouth, we're going to begin to connect with our deep abdominal muscles. So we're going to focus on gently drawing up the pelvic floor, and then we're pulling the belly button towards the spine, flattening the tummy. We're going to think about inhaling into the sides and the back of the rib cage. Try not to let the tummy inflate towards the ceiling. Exhale, belly buttons in, tightening that corset that wraps around the center, strengthening, stabilizing in between the ribs and the hips. Inhale through the nose, exhale out through the mouth, belly buttons in, and then we're going to try and keep these deep muscles working, active, connected throughout the rest of the class. We're going to keep the same natural curve through the lower back. Pelvis is in its neutral position as we move the arms. So we're going to focus on keeping the rib cage sliding down towards the hips. So you can inhale, float the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Exhale, belly button pulls in, arms go back over the head. Try not to let the rib cage lift. Inhale, float the fingertips up. Exhale, arms float back. So don't worry about the arms, hands touching the floor. Inhale, exhale, belly buttons in, rib cage slides down. Inhale, float the fingertips up. Exhale, float the hands back down. And again. Hopefully, each time we move, get a bit more range of movement through the shoulder. And then you can stay here like so, or we can add in some arm circles. So still thinking about the rib cage sliding down. So inhale, float the fingertips up and back. Exhale, circle the arms wide, palms up towards the ceiling, bring the hands back down by the sides of the body. Inhale, exhale, keeping the same position in between the ribs and the hips. Next time, the arms are back down by the sides of the body. I'm going to change the directions. Inhale, arms wide. Exhale, fingertips float up. Bring the hands back down. And again, keep the rib cage sliding down. Make sure you're not overarching through the lower back. Good. One more. Good. Okay, next time the fingertips point up towards ceiling, palms face towards one another. You can think about some arm scissors. So inhale and then exhale. Right arm goes back, left hand down by the side of the body. Inhale, float the fingertips up. Exhale, switch the arms. Inhale, exhale again. Try not to let the rib cage lift on the side when the arms go back over the head. If you wish, you can slide the opposite foot along the mat. Try not to let the hip follow the leg. Inhale, fingertips back up, foot slides back up. Exhale, other arm, opposite leg. Keep that same position through the rib cage. Strong and stable through the center. Good. One more each side. And then the next time, feet are flat on the floor, knees are bent, arms up towards ceiling. Take the arms wide, in line with the shoulders, legs together, ankles, knees, thighs touching. You're going to think about some rotation through lower mid back. So on the next inhalation, breathe into the sides and the back of the rib cage. Take the knees slowly, gently over to one side as you turn the head in the opposite direction. Exhale, belly button pulls in, knees back to center, eye line back to center. Inhale with control. Knees go over to the other side. Turn the head in the opposite direction. Exhale, knees back to center. So keep that control all the way through the rotation. If you're comfortable working with the legs at tabletop, next time the knees are back to center. You can inhale, lift one foot, exhale, lift the second foot. And then with that same control, that same stability, knees go one way, turn the head the other. Keeping the arms relaxed, shoulders relaxed. Belly button pulled in. Last one. And when the knees are back to center, gently hug them into the chest. And then we're going to think about some mobility through the lower mid-back with some hip rolls. So we're going to bring those feet back down onto the mats. Ankles, knees, hips aligned. Arms relaxed down by the sides of the body. You're going to think about lifting tailbone, pelvis, lower back, mid-backs. Exhale, belly button pulls in. Hips come a little bit closer towards the ribs. Then start to lift the pelvis, the lower back, the mid-back. Bring the hips up to wherever's most comfortable for you. Don't worry about taking them too high towards the ceiling. Inhale here, exhale. Keep the tailbone high, ribs and hips closer together. Lower mid-back, lower back, pelvis, tailbone back down onto the mat. Inhale to hold, exhale. Try and get that sequential movement, lifting one section of the spine before the next. Inhale to hold at the top. Exhale. Lower, back, down. And then stay here just focusing on that movement of the spine, and we can add back in the arms. So next time, tailbone lifts, pelvis lifts, lower back. Fingertips can float up, go back over the head. Inhale to hold at the top, exhale. Lower one vertebra at a time, back down. Two more. Last one. And then again, next time, pelvis on the mat. Gently hug the knees into the chest. And then we're going to think about either rolling yourselves over onto one side, pushing up onto all fours, or you can keep a knee hugged in, flick yourselves up, and then coming onto all fours to think about some cat stretches. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. You're inhaling here. Exhale, belly button pulls in, tailbone moves first, lower back, mid back, upper back, neck, then head. Inhale to hold, exhale. Tailbone, pelvis, lower back, mid back, upper back, neck, head returns back to that start position. And then we can stay here, just thinking about this flexion up and down the spine. Or you think about taking the hip side to side. Think about bending an elbow, dropping a shoulder. So we're going to add in some lateral flexion, some rotation as we round up. So we're moving, twisting, coming back to that start position, then rounding again, rotation, flexion, lateral flexion. Try and make the spine as fluid, as mobile, as flexible. Fluidity from the tailbone to the crown of the head, fluidity from the hips, shoulders, move in all those directions as you're still thinking about rounding, 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 rounding. Good, last one. And then we can take the weight off the wrist, push back into a shell stretch. Backside somewhere near the heels of the feet. Round over the thighs. If that's not comfortable, through the knees, the hips, the back. Feel free to bring yourself to a seated position. Feet flat on the floor, knees bent, rounding over the thighs. Trying to create that same roundness from the tailbone to the crown of the head. And breathing wide into the sides and the back of the rib cage. And then when you're ready, restack the spine one vertebra at a time. And we'll think about some spine stretch forward. So you can either have the legs straight, you can have the legs crossed, whichever works for you. But lengthen, sit, nice and tall. You're inhaling to tuck the chin in. Try not to jam the chin to the chest. Keep the length through the back of the neck. And slide the ribs towards the hips. Go forwards over the thighs. Listen to your body. Don't push, don't force, don't jam. You take it where it wants to go. To begin with, inhale here. Exhale, come back up, sit taller, taller, taller. Inhale, crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Try not to let the head come forwards of the shoulders. Try not to jam the chin to the chest. Ribs to hips. Go forwards over the thighs while staying sat on those sit bones. So try and keep the pelvis vertical. Inhale here. Exhale, sit taller, 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 taller. Good, two more. Don't worry about touching the toes. Don't worry about coming close towards the knees. Think ribs to hips. Abdominal muscles creating that flexion through the upper, mid, back. Last one. Good. And then we're going to come back down onto the mats. I'm going to think about some hip release. This is where we're going to move one leg at a time. Bring the fingertips on the hips. I want to keep the hips level. I want to keep the pointy part of the pelvis straight up towards the ceiling. Starting with the left leg. So inhale, drop the left knee out towards the floor. Slide the left leg long. Bring that left knee back towards the right leg as you slide that foot back up. Right leg this time. So inhale, right knee drops out, slide the right leg away. Exhale, right knee turns back in, slide the foot back up. Inhale, left knee drops out, left leg slides back in all the time. Careful when the knee goes out that other hip doesn't pop up towards the ceiling. Keep the hips level, shoulders relaxed. And when you got the idea of those four movements, make it one fluid movement. Keeping that foot in line with the hip. Try and make sure it doesn't wander off out to the side. One more on each leg in this direction. And then we change the direction. So inhale, left knee turns in as you slide the foot away. Exhale, left knee turns out as you slide the foot back up. Knee turns in, comes back out. One fluid movement. So as soon as the knee's turning in, legs long. As soon as the knee starts to turn out, legs back up. One more, each leg. Keeping that stability through the center. And then we're hugging the knees into the chest. Gently rock the knees side to side. And then we're going to roll ourselves over onto one side. And we're going to think about some side kick. So legs are long. To begin with, one long line down the mat. And then bring the feet forwards. So hinging from the hips, tailbone stays pointing long. Feet are about 45 degrees forwards. Float the top leg to hip height. Inhale, flex the foot, bring the leg forwards. Exhale, point the toe, sweep the leg back. Open up in the front of the hips. Take the leg behind the body. Try not to let the upper body collapse forward. So inhale, flex the foot, bring the leg forwards. Exhale, point the toe, sweep the leg back. So we're moving at the hip, at the ankle. Rest of the body want to keep as strong and as stable as possible. Two more on this leg. The next time that top leg's in line with the bottom leg, float it back down, switch yourselves round to the other side. Then line yourself up down the mat. Bottom arm can be long, head resting on the arm. Bottom arm can be bent, head resting on the hand. That will block underneath the head, whichever works for you. Bring both feet forwards, both legs forwards, tailbone stays pointing long. Float the top leg to hip height. Inhale, flex foot, bring the leg forwards. Exhale, point the toe, take the leg back, open up in the front of the hips. Try not to let the upper body move in the opposite direction as that top leg. Use the muscles through the center to maintain that stability through the upper body. As we move at the hip, move at the ankle, keep the rest of the body strong and as stable as possible. Two more of these. Last one. Inhale, leg comes forwards. Exhale, leg goes back. And then we're floating that top leg down. And then we're going to bring ourselves onto all fours. Ready to think about some swimming. Opposite arm, leg. Keeping that balance, keeping that stability. Try not to dip into the lower back. If you need to keep the fingertips on the mat, tips of the toes on the mat, feel free to do so. So next long, backs of the ears up towards the ceiling. Inhaling here, exhale. Slide one hand, foot away. You can keep that balance. Hand can come off the mat, leg can come off the mat. Inhale, float hand and knee back down. Exhale, other arm, opposite leg. Keep that stability through the center. Try not to dip in the lower back. Keep the belly button pulled in towards the spine. If you can keep that balance, that stability, when the arm and the leg are long, move the arm at the shoulder, leg at the hip, keep that stability through the center. So inhale, exhale, arm and leg long. Inhale, arm out, leg out. Exhale, bring it back to the center, float it back down. Tailbone's long. We're not dipping into the lower back. Strong and stable. 2 more each side. Last one. Don't let the body follow the arm or the leg. Crown of the head points long, tailbone points long, keeping that stability through the center. Next time, hand and knee on the mat. If you wish, take the weight off the wrist, push back into a shell stretch. That's not comfortable through the knees, through the hips, through the lower back. We can come back to a seated position, feet flat on the floor, knees bent. We can round over the thighs, keeping the arms relaxed, shoulders, neck relaxed. But think about the flexion, the ribs to hips through the lower back. And then when you're ready, slowly roll yourselves up, 1 vertebra at a time. Then we're going to bring ourselves to the saw. So we're going to think about some rotation through the upper mid-back. You can have the legs crossed, you can have feet flat on the floor, knees bent. You can have the legs long, feet as wide as comfortable, arms across the chest to begin with. So you're going to inhale, rotate, exhale, chin tucks in, work your way down towards the bent knee or to that long leg. Inhale, roll yourselves up, exhale, come back to center. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. If you wish, you can have the arms wide, shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, exhale, little fingertip reaches towards opposite little toe. Inhale, restack, exhale, come back to center. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. 2 more each side. Make it one fluid movement. So as soon as you rotate, start to go forwards. As soon as you restack, come back to center. Sit as tall as you can as you come back to center. And then go again. 1 more each side. Fantastic. And then when you complete your last one, feet flat on the floor, bend the knees, go forwards over the thighs, into a shell stretch, ribs to hips, shoulders relaxed, arms relaxed, creating that roundness through the spine. And then when you're ready, roll yourselves up. And we're going to think about coming to lie on our side. Again, 1 long line down the mat. Ankles, knees, hips aligned, legs are long, hips are stacked, so vertical line in between 2 hip bones. And then inhale, point the toe, lift the top leg. Exhale, flex the foot, lower that top leg back down. Fingertips can rest lightly on the front of the rib cage on the mat, or top arm on the top thigh. Try and keep that distance between the rib and the hip on the top side the same. 2 more of lifting top leg. And the next time that top leg is at hip height, keep the toe pointed. Draw 10 circles of the leg in one direction, 10 in the other. So inhale for the first half of the circle. Exhale for the second. Take the leg behind, keeping the rib cage sliding down. Take the leg up. Bring the leg forwards. Keep that stability through the center. Four more in this direction. Last 2. Last 1. Change directions. Inhale for the first half of the circle. Exhale for the second. Five, we're halfway. Keep the tailbone pointing long. Keep that balance, keep that stability. Last three, two, one. Fantastic. Float that top leg back down. Switching ourselves around to the other side. Lining ourselves up, one more line down the mat. And then lifting the top leg to begin with. So inhale, point the toe, lift the top leg. Exhale, flex the foot, lower the leg back down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Next time that top leg's in line with the top hip. Keep the toe pointed. 10 circles with the leg in one direction. 10 in the other. So inhale for the first half of the circle. Exhale for the second. Keep the tailbone pointing long. Keep that strength and stability through the center. 2 more in this direction. And then change that direction. So inhale for the first half of the circle, exhale for the second. Halfway. Last 3. 2. 1. And rest. Fantastic. Okay. Pushing yourselves up to a seated position. We're going to have a go at the mermaid. So I'm definitely going to need some blocks for this one as we take the spine side to side with the legs in a position where we have one leg pointing straight out in front, 90 degrees bent at that front knee. Back knee towards the heel of that front leg, back foot towards the wall behind. Ideally, we want the hips level. Keep that horizontal line in between the ribs and the hips. Then we're going to inhale, float the fingertips, one arm up towards the ceiling. Reach over to the side. Inhale, float the fingertips up. Exhale, gently reach over to the other side. So rib to hip, ear to shoulder, chest point straight forwards, eye line look straight forwards. Sit as tall as you can as you pass through the center. Exhale. Bend the elbow with the hand that's on the mat. So we don't put too much weight through the shoulder. One more each side with the legs in this direction before we switch them round. And then the next time we are back to center. Switch the legs round. So you may only need one sit bone in contact with the block. So we've got the knee of the front leg pointing straight forwards, bending that front knee. Knee of the back leg out to the side, foot of the back leg towards the wall behind. And then we inhale, float the fingertips up, exhale, rib to hip, ear to shoulder. Inhale back to center, exhale, light as you can on that hand down by the side of the body. Bend the elbow, inhale, exhale. Chest point straight forwards, eye line look straight forwards. Rib to hip, ear to shoulder. 2 more each side. Good, last one. And the next time we're back to center, we're gonna slide blocks out. Gonna bring ourselves to a seated position, front edge-ish of your mat, so you've got enough room to roll back down when we come to do so. Or we can have hands resting lightly on the shins. If you need a bit of assistance with stability with the balance, hands on the back of the thigh. So we're lengthening up through the crown of the head. Exhale, belly button pulls in, tailbone tucks under, rib cage slides down. Try not to let the head come forwards of the shoulders. Inhale here. Exhale, sit taller, taller, taller. Exhale. Inhale to hold. Exhale, come back up. If you're confident, you can keep that balance, keep that stability. You can only roll half the way back, arms parallel with the floor. You want to challenge yourselves a little bit more. Fingertips on the forehead. Elbows in the corners of the eyes. 2 more. And then the next time we're sat nice and tall, we're slowly going to roll back down onto the mat. So tailbone tucks under, rib cage slides down. Keep the ears over the shoulders. Belly buttons in. Slowly, 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 slowly. Bring yourselves back down onto the mat. And then we're going to hug the right knee in. Slide the left leg long. Now we're thinking about circling at that right ankle. So we're going to do 10 circles with that right foot, the right ankle in one direction. And then 10 in the other direction. Good. And then drawing that left knee in, sliding the right leg long. We can think about those 10 circles with the left foot this time at the ankle. Change direction when you've done those 10 in one direction. And then floating the feet back down onto the mat. You can have the feet flat on the floor, knees bent. If you wish, it's comfortable lying on your back with the legs long. Slide the legs out. Let the feet fall out towards the floor, relaxing the hips. Have arms down by the sides of the body, palms up towards the ceiling. Allow the shoulders to be heavy into the mat. Close the eyes. Return the breathing back to a regular, comfortable breathing pattern. Ready for a few moments relaxation.